Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Russell Guay, Associate Professor in the Department of Management and David W. Wilson Chair in Business Ethics. Welcome to the Faculty and Staff Ethics Interview Series. Guest today is Chris Schrage. Chris is an instructor of marketing and global trade. She's also the UNI Business Global Opportunities Coordinator. This is approximately her 24th year at UNI. I found out recently she's also a children's book author and a certified mediator. Worked in several other areas as well. Her education is all from UNI, both as an undergrad and her MBA also. And I think we're going to talk today about ethical issues in academia. And I would guess we'll get into some of the many case competitions she's been involved in and all the groups she's taken to international trips. You're over 100 trips with student groups, aren't you?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. All right. Well, Chris, welcome and thank you for doing this.
Well, definitely, of course, I look at the world from an international aspect. I have been in 51 countries.
Wow.
And on every continent except Antarctica, but I'm not real excited about that because culture is the important component for me as I make those visits. And when you're dealing with people from around the world and in the classroom, people have different ideas of what is ethical.
Sure.
And because of the societies we grow up, we're all socialized. And so I've always worked from the premise years and years ago. I found these set of 3 principles that were put together by a guy by the name of Thomas Danielson.
Okay.
That definitely are a great foundation for ethics, whether at home or overseas.
Nice.
So, and he calls it doing the right thing.
Good.
Okay. And
that's not always as easy as it sounds, though. But yes, we're in a good
right
spot
there.
so far.
Well, the first one that he comes up with is the respect for core human rights.
Nice. Okay.
And values. Okay. And that no matter what we do in education or business or whatever, we should always have that as the base, our minimum standard. And had a discussion today in class about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There are actually 30 rights that were put together and adopted in 1948. Okay. And believe it or not, Eleanor Roosevelt was on the steering committee.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
She was an advocate for human rights.
Okay.
And so, even in the classroom and education and stuff, making sure that we build a place where everyone feels safe and that they're all given the same opportunities and Absolutely. We don't repress anybody no matter what we're doing.
Good.
I mean, that's a solid start.
I agree.
And the second one is the respect for local tradition.
Okay.
And that one is so fun to me because I'm one that they say curious as a cat. I'm probably even more than that, because I just want to get in and figure out how all this works and how people think and interact and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And the traditions are awesome. And if we, for example, if we're going to go into, like Saudi Arabia, because of the heat, okay, all of their activities are later in the day.
Okay.
I had a student call me to talk about when he was here yesterday. It was 2:00 in the morning for him. And I'm going, what are you calling at this time for? You should be in bed. And he goes, remember in Saudi Arabia, we're just doing business in those times.
Oh, wow.
Oh, a lot of business dinners don't occur till 10 p.m.
Okay.
Because then they're beyond the heat of the day and stuff.
Sure.
And so, when you go there, you adjust to that local tradition. You respect that tradition or the way they dress. When I was going in and out of Ghana, for example, I wore long cotton dresses.
Okay.
And actually it was for that climate, it was a better thing to do than wearing jeans anyway.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It's much cooler. And same thing was true in Uzbekistan and other places that was the way to dress. And so, and what is considered right and wrong there? Not that you should necessarily do it, but you should respect it.
Absolutely.
And mutual respect in this world is very, very important. It's lacking in many cases.
I was just going to say, there's not enough of that for sure.
No, but that would be the second major thing that one should do when it comes to ethics.
Okay, good.
And the third thing to think about is the belief that context matters.
Nice.
Okay, so when we say what's right and what's wrong, okay, that's different from different viewpoints.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In the US, everything's black or white. You lied or you told the truth.
Sure.
In most of the world, it's shades of gray. Okay, and there's this wide spectrum. And I like to use in class this scenario. Is child labor wrong? Okay.
Yep.
So you have all these students saying, oh yeah, it's wrong. They should be in school doing all of these things. And I ask them, well, when is a child no longer a child? And usually ranges between 16 and 18.
Okay.
Which is based on the socialization we have here.
Sure.
So then I say, okay, that's a good, place to start. I said, but what if you have a child in Africa whose parents have died from AIDS, and he's 10 years old, and he has these elderly grandparents that have no real good source of income.
Okay.
And the only way the three of them are going to eat is if that 10-year-old child goes to take a job.
Wow.
Now, is it wrong?
We're definitely under the ethical dilemma portion of the discussion now. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, right away from the US perspective, they're all saying, well, they should be in school and the government should take care of them and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going, but that's not possible there.
Right.
So how do we deal with that? And it really, for students, it takes them some time to really think about that. But, and then I throw out things, well, what would be great is if companies that hired them would maybe give them nutritional meals, or maybe have night classes so that they can continue their education. But we can't really, if the family's going to die because the kid can't go to work,
right,
we can't say that that's wrong.
Right.
And so, yeah, those are the kind of things that we have to think about when it comes to ethics.
Yeah, and you're right. We live in a sheltered area in the US, so we assume everybody is just like us and doesn't have to deal with more issues than what we go through here, and it's simply not true. I know when I talk in negotiations about some of the cross-cultural things and what's different in some of the countries you've traveled to versus here, and I'm always surprised at how few students have taken on that, have still taken advantage of some of those opportunities to go elsewhere. But yes, those that have could talk all day long about the answer to that particular question on what's different elsewhere versus here. So I wish more of our students would still take advantage of some of those things too. Granted, the last 18 months, the world's kind of been in a holding pattern, but hopefully someday soon we'll be able to open up the doors again and get.
Well, one of the things I did last winter, I had a virtual study abroad program with Nicaragua. But see, I've been working in Nicaragua since 2001 with some of my own projects, building schools and libraries and stuff. And so I have this whole network of people and that can be called upon. And we had different people out in the rural area. We taped them doing their stuff, and we had people doing translation and stuff. So the students at least got their perspective. It was, it wasn't ideal like when I take students there, but it worked. So they should look for other opportunities, even though the travel has been not so good. Yeah. And like when next spring I'm hosting the NIBS case competition, and there'll be teams from 16 different universities from around the world.
Wow. How many different countries are we talking about within those 16 universities?
Well, sometimes it can be 16 different countries. I know that right now we have 2 teams from the Netherlands registered for the qualifying round.
Nice.
And usually there's a number from Canada that compete, and we have a qualifying, but what we're going to do when they're here, I need volunteers.
Sure.
To, help with all the different aspects, be ambassadors, which they're literally that week, they are the guide for that team.
Okay.
And if students can't go abroad for a variety of reasons,
right,
they should get involved in these kinds of things.
That's a very cool experience.
It gives them an opportunity to see other viewpoints. And
Right.
I know when my teams have traveled, some of the people are still in contact with their ambassadors.
Oh, I bet.
10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
And they participate together, and they've built really great networks.
Yeah. That's one of those things that, it looks great on the resume if our students take part for that week, but hopefully they'll see the much bigger value in this than just a resume item too. I think that would be a great experience to kind of put themselves in that cultural mix for a week, even though it's still here in Iowa. They would get ingrained very quickly into another culture.
Well, and even when I host the incoming programs, I've had Colombian MBAs here for close to 10 years every year. Wow. And because we haven't had the opportunity the last 2 summers, there is a group coming in December, and students can come and hang out and do stuff with us and visit companies even if they want. And like during the summer, we've already got them scheduled for next summer. I have an undergraduate and a graduate program coming in. And actually in April, I guess I got another supply chain program coming in.
Wow. Very good. Is December in Iowa going to be a huge culture shock for the group coming in?
Oh yeah. where they live, they call it the city of eternal spring. It's always between 65 and 75 degrees every single day. If it rains, it's for 10, 20 minutes, and then it's clear the rest of the day.
Well, there is global warming taking place, right? Maybe we can get close to 60 in December. Who knows?
Well, I hope not, because more than half of them have signed up to go to try skiing for the first time.
Nice. Very nice. Winter's my favorite season. So I was disappointed when you said Antarctica is the place. I wasn't surprised that you haven't been there, but was disappointed you said that was the one continent you hadn't been to yet. But what did you say, 51 countries?
Yes.
All right. I'm embarrassed to say this, but Canada is the only country I've ever been to outside the US.
Well, we got to correct that.
I know.
I'll be glad to take you along anytime.
In fact, when I interviewed for my job, so I did my PhD at Iowa, and to interview for my job at UNI, I had to go to Montreal because that's where the Academy of Management conference was that year, or else I probably wouldn't have even left the US for that. But instead of
you're
driving
missing
an hour
out.
and a half up the road, I had to get my passport and go to Canada to interview for UNI. So.
No, the world is an amazing place. The people, one of the things that on the same thing is, a lot of times people say, well, why do you want to go there? They hate Americans and all this kind of stuff, which, by the way, we shouldn't say Americans. We should say US citizens.
Right. Absolutely.
But that comes up all the time. And the thing of it is, around the world, there's this mindset. They separate politics from people. They may hate US politics, but they love the people.
I think most of us hate US politics anymore too.
Yeah. But it's whereas Americans put it all lumped together.
Sure.
And but that is one of the great things about traveling. I've never had a situation where
Really cool.
I was treated rudely but although I don't make a big deal of it either, because I consider myself a citizen of the world.
Okay.
My grandson said, Grandma, why don't you fly an American flag in the yard like we do? And I said, because I don't favor the US. I feel that the whole world is equal and we should act that way. And if there was a really cool global flag, I would put it up.
There you go. Either that or one for all 51 countries you've been to. You could just have flags all over.
Well, I have a bunch of them. In fact, I have here today because we're talking about symbolism in class. When Ghana got their 50th anniversary for independence from Great Britain in 2007, I was there and I got this flag, and they drink of symbols. I got this ready for class on.
Okay.
They have these Adrinko symbols
Yeah.
that have meanings to them. And the one they took and put across the Ghanaian, they made a special flag for the 50 years. And they put this symbol up there,
Okay.
and it means no one but God.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because they are religious and they have both tribal and Christian stuff going on there.
Very nice.
And so they put that on the flag to show that they honored that God had protected them and taken them through them.
Okay.
And another really cool thing about Ghana, this is what they call the unity globe.
Okay.
And you notice you got people down there holding up the globe together, intertwined. Yep. I have a great big one at home. But to me, the symbolism of this, the fact that we're all in the world together and we should work together and protect each other and do all of that, to me is so awesome.
Sounds like common sense, but yeah, nothing that we do very well.
No.
Society, at least right now. So
yeah, and
a lot from that.
That's the thing though, when you travel, people have tremendous amount of respect. And when I went to Saudi Arabia, everybody, oh, that's so terrible. I had people I had a cousin who thought I was nuts. And I went to visit past students. We've had a lot of Saudi students here.
Okay. Yep. And
you know what? It's not anything like the press. Well, I say that anyway, in any country, the press, the media, I can't say what I really expected because I don't do that anymore, but it was definitely not what I've anticipated. And they are the warmest, nicest people. And they have three main values, and they will tell you this. You could ask anybody and they'll say, the first one is bravery.
Okay.
Standing up for your beliefs and facing life, whatever happens.
Good.
The second one is generosity.
Wow.
And believe me, they are very generous people.
Nice.
And the third one is poetry.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And it's being able to express oneself fully and adequately and understanding other people as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. That's nice.
That's why I haven't gone to Antarctica. There's no culture there.
That's probably, you never know. The penguins might be very cultured. We don't know that.
Well, I have say that in recent times, I have sort of looked at the possibility of going to Argentina and then going down and seeing the penguins and coming back.
Nice.
So
that one I might have to look into if you go there, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, you think you can talk the wife into it?
I don't know, probably so. We'll have to see about that when she's not working 90-hour weeks, but
yeah. So, well, cool.
Yeah. How about your case competitions? Let's talk about that area a little bit. I know you get involved in those a lot and help teams get prepared for some of the things that they're going to do. And what is it? Denver and Detroit are the two that you normally take people to every year?
There's more than that.
Okay.
I've had taken up to 5 teams a year.
Wow.
To different competitions.
Okay.
Denver and Detroit is the supply chain ones, and we've been doing that for a good over a decade.
All right.
And 4 students per team. Well, actually, Denver, they can have up to 6 members.
Okay.
And one year I took actually 2 teams of 4. But they're given a case about a month before the actual competition. And we do what we call fed and focused. I have this huge kitchen and table, and we set a long periods of time aside. And so they can be focused.
Sure.
And I have a big island that's full of food and snacks and stuff. So they're not distracted.
Absolutely.
Bathrooms right around the corner. And they work on this case and come up with a solution and then prepare a presentation to go in person in front of the judges and explain their solution.
I like it.
And then they have interaction with the judges and stuff. And
of course.
And then the others 2 main ones, NASBITE International. I'm on the board of governors for NASBITE International, which is trade educators.
Okay.
And that case competition, again, well, it's actually 2 rounds. They have a qualifying round where they get the case. They've got a month, and then they send in a virtual presentation that they've taped and stuff. And then the top teams get to go, about 5 teams get to go to the annual conference.
Nice.
And present for the final.
Okay.
NIBS, which is the Network of International Business Schools, which University of Northern Iowa has been the College of Business has been a member for as long as I've been here.
Okay.
And they actually just started the 3rd competition, but the one that I've been most involved with is the case competition, which is the one we're going to actually host here, which is a once in a lifetime thing.
Of course.
Because it travels the world. Every year it's a different place. And that particular one in the qualifying round, they're given a case and they have 8 hours. It has to be reloaded within 10 hours of the time of the case being downloaded.
Okay.
To read the case, analyze it, come up with a written paper of 1,500 words or less.
Okay.
So you got to be concise and no more than 5 appendices. And that goes in and is judged. And in fact, that's coming up November 9th, I believe, is when that starts.
Okay.
And then the top 16 teams go to the host school in the first week. Well, they'll be here March 6th through 12th. And they compete head to head in pools in a round robin to start with. So they have to do it 3 times. Hopefully they get to do it all 6, but
sure.
But they're in pools of 4, and so they compete against each other.
Right.
And they go into a sequestered room. They have 4 hours from the time they read the case till they're marched in front of the judges to present with a PowerPoint.
A little different than the supply chain ones where you said they got the case a month ahead of time.
You're right. And they're forced to think on their feet. And
yeah,
we practice a lot. I give them a lot of old cases from past presentations, because number one, that 4 hours goes really fast if you don't feel that. Same thing with the 8 hours. We'll do a couple practices with an old case for them to get used to that time management that they need. And get used to how they work together as a team. And so then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they all compete against one of the other people in the round in their pool, and they get scored against each other. There's 11 points possible. And if it's real close, it's 6-5. If it's not so close, it's 4-8, or not 4-7,
Yeah.
And then after those 3 days, those scores are added up, and the top 2 in each pool go on to the quarterfinals. And then, in fact, Wednesday, if you go to the quarterfinals, you have to do 2 cases in one day. Okay. But you only have 3 hours to go do it. And then they get Thursday off. And the plan is when they're here that we will go to John Deere and tour. And
well, hopefully John Deere is more normal by then too.
Yes. And but I have plenty of other companies that I can take 64 students to. But John Deere, well, in fact, my joint organizers in Netherlands and stuff are saying, oh yeah, we got to go to John Deere. That's got to go, And so, okay, I'm trying, but and then on Friday, the top 4 teams that went out of the quarterfinals pair off against each other, and then the winner of each of those will do the finals that afternoon, and then we'll have a big awards thing at the end, and all the judges get to be part of it and stuff like that. And
I know I'd seen some of your emails about it, but I didn't realize as many details as you just shared now. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Well, this time, and partly because of the COVID thing and stuff, we're going to house them on campus.
Okay.
Reduces costs a lot, reduces logistic problems.
Right.
Plus, they're in a more controlled environment,
Absolutely.
so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it's a major thing, and I actually put together a Facebook of all my past teams.
Nice.
And I keep throwing out ideas and say, what do you guys think of this? Or what do you think of that? And we actually picked out, this is not a mock-up of what, there'll be a mug with the the NIBS competition for our school on one side and the
Yep.
College of Business on the other side.
Nice. Nice.
So, yeah, and we're working on getting sponsors right now, corporate sponsors. John Deere's going to be one, and the Bradford chair is one of the sponsors. And
Yep.
so,
and that's in February, correct?
first week of March.
First week of March.
I have a feeling I'm going to spend spring break asleep.
You might need it. Yeah.
Because it's the next week is spring break.
Okay. Yeah.
And that cultural thing, we had to plan it between when Europe was on break and Iowa was on break. Okay. So we're sitting down. There's 3 of us from 3 different countries sitting here figuring out the original details. And yeah, we're going, well, we got these dates we can work in and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's fun.
Very interesting. Yeah, that will be fun to watch it take place. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing a lot of these things.
Yeah, well, anytime.
I think the students will enjoy this, our colleagues, whoever might be watching. I think there'll be a lot of people that learn quite a bit from this session today. So thank you again for doing this.
Okay, well, you take care.
Thank you, Chris. You too.